This is one of those rare afternoons where I can sit in awe of the two women in front of me, LaRhonda and Janice. Thanks for sparing some time. Really appreciate it. I wanted to start out with your musical legacy, just in the sense of how you came up into it, and you had the same you took the same road. And Janice, maybe we can start with you, from where you began music, how old you were.
I started when I was about 2 years old. I was in Idabel, Oklahoma. My grandmother was my first teacher. Her name is Armelia Watts. And my grandmother and my mother were both church pianists in Oklahoma. And I was too. So that was my beginning.
Well, I came from a musical family. My dad sings and my mom sings. So I sang my first solo at a church called Pleasant Ridge Baptist Church in Jones, Oklahoma, with Pastor Reverend Willie Boone Jr.
Great name.
And I remember singing my first solo, and from then on, in the church, when they find you have a talent, they just surround you in love, and they just make you do it whether you want to do it or not. Every Sunday, to the point where I was directing the choir when I was about 14 or 15.
For you, both music feeds something in you to do it that well and for so long and from such a young age. Talk a little bit about that, both of you. Music
for me, singing for me, it started as a place of, how can I describe it? Well, I'll say it started, and it is a healing thing for me. I didn't have a lot of friends. I didn't, and we grew up in the country. We were somewhat isolated. And so other than television and the radio, I had singing, I had music every Sunday, Wednesday night prayer service, choir rehearsal. It was just such a part of my life, such a, just a part of my being. And as I grew up, I found out that people liked me when I sang. It was high school. I discovered, oh, that's how you get friends. So it's like people who didn't know my name, once I entered the talent show, they were like, oh, the cool kids were saying hello to me. So for a while, not only the love of music, but knowing that that's a means of being accepted by my peers and others was one of the things that kind of drove me to keep doing it. And as I've gotten older, and also during that time, it's just a wonderful wonderful vehicle to just be used by God and be used by Spirit and to connect with people and to share joy. So it's always been that, and especially since last year I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer, and the healing power of music and being around musicians and being able to sing through that whole thing has healed me. It was a part of keeping me going to the next chemotherapy, session, to the next radiation, taking the next, getting through surgery, having gigs to look forward to, having a choir to look forward to teach, just enhance the healing.
Before I hear from Janice, I wonder when it was that you knew that you had that gift. I mean, that you could say, you know what, I've got this.
I think I knew it early on. I was, 13 when I sang the first solo. I think right around the age of 15 or 16, I knew that this is all I wanted to do for the rest of my life. Singing in church, and the spiritual aspect of it, and feeling what we call the anointing, and to see the reaction of how people in the audience were blessed and how they were drawn closer to, how we were all lifted up by this song, song of the soul, song of that God was coming out of my vocal cords and using me to make this beautiful thing happen for us all. I knew that's what I wanted to do. So I knew pretty early on, but you know, as you go through life and as teenagers, you get pulled this way and that, and your motives might change a little bit, but I knew early on.
What about your first thought that something was coming through your fingers when you hit the keys?
The story that I was told is that after I was born, I cried all the time, and they just knew I was sick, and they would take me back to the doctor, and he gave me all this medicine. They said I had heart conditions and all this stuff, and all just the medicine and the medicine, until someone said they saw me crying and looking at the piano. And then they put me up there on the piano stool, and I placed my hands on the keys, and I stopped crying. And so it's just something I wanted, you know, and I just enjoyed playing all day, all night. You know, I get up in the morning playing until they tell me go to bed. Like 1 the next morning, I would take breaks and go do things, but you know, I would come back and play off and on all day. You know, and as I got older, I just sat there and sometimes just played more and more. You know, and it was. Like one person I was playing with said that, they say, God, you started playing when you were 2. Well, that's your first language, even before English. You know, I was
because that music is a language, yeah.
Yeah, it is language and science, and we was putting those things together. Sorry, putting those, you know, thoughts together, musical thoughts together, before even putting words together. I said, wow, I really never thought about it that way. So it is a pure blessing, and I use it for everything. It's my part of my breath, and it's like LaRonda said, it's our makeup. It's our DNA. It's a part of that. Just like water and nutrition and everything else, we need to do this, and we're blessed when we do it, and we're blessed by it. And it's meditation, prayer, centering, all of those things. So.
And I think that when we listen to your voice, LaRonda, and the beautiful melodies coming from a piano, Janice, that it's so moving that, you know, that's, I guess, the anointing that you're talking about for us who are around your music. Well, you're both treasures. Thank you for sharing your time.
Thank you.